This might give you hope. It's a TikTok link, so it probably will not.
Colleagues are going to need some time to gather the facts, but we already have a statement from the Department of Homeland Security that has accused Senator Padilla of being disrespectful, as if that is a rationalization for violence. Watch the video. Even if you believe that he was disrespectful, and given the times, that is certainly in the eye of the beholder, that never justifies what we saw on that video. Throwing anyone, never mind an elected representative of the people, to the ground to be handcuffed. They say that he didn't identify who he was, and yet watch the video. He clearly states, "I am Senator Alex Padilla." They're going to spin this, but I'm begging my Republican colleagues, don't let them do it.
Oh, my God.
Protect our ability as servants of the people to speak up for the people that we represent. Make sure that we do not normalize this kind of violence simply because the White House doesn't agree with people who dissent. If this is how a United States senator can be treated, then none of us ultimately are immune. If this is how a United States senator can be treated, none of our constituents are safe. This is a test for the country, but this is a test for the United States Senate as well. I yield the floor.
Like, it's do or die right now, okay? Right now, every Republican is justifying this. I guarantee you that they're not going to apologize. They're going to lie. They're going to say that he attacked her, that they're violent, that he lunged at her, right? There's no way around this. Okay? You need to be as militant as them. Like, seriously, look at this. Look at just the Twitter feed. What do I click on? I click on Padilla. This is the grok topic, okay? Gavin Newsom. If they can handcuff a U.S. senator for asking a question, imagine what they can do to you. Okay, good. Thank you. Moving on. Rep. Eric Swallow. America is dying. Trump's agents just physically attacked the U.S. senator. This is how freedom dies. Okay, good. Thank you. MAGA voice. Breaking. Democrat U.S. Senator Alex Padilla was just thrown on the ground and handcuffed. Democrats are no longer above the law. I voted for this. Yes. Yes, they did. The Indian who runs this account would have voted for Trump for this reason. That is true. You have to acknowledge this, okay? You have to acknowledge this. This isn't just Trump. This isn't, I beg the Republicans to not let this be normalized. They're all like this. Call to activism. Major breaking news. Padilla was just arrested during Kristi Noem's press conference for asking questions. This is officially a fascist country. Okay, a little soy, but okay. Midas Touch, a U.S. senator. This is absolutely insane. Okay. Charlie Kirk. Watch the exact moment Democratic Senator Alex Padilla is brought to the ground and cuffed by officers. Wild. A nothing statement. Here's how he really thinks. Whoa, a sitting U.S. Senator, Alex Padilla, was just shoved and forcibly removed from a press conference with DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. Reports are he's been arrested. No one is above the law. It's about time these Democrats stopped acting like it. It's pretty clear how they feel about this, guys. If they, listen, and this is not an exaggeration, it is simply true, and if you disagree, you're wrong. If one of those officers had pulled out their gun and shot Padilla in the back of the head after handcuffing him, the Republicans would be supporting it exactly as much as they are right now. They would defend it. That's not an exaggeration. That's not an overstatement. If you can't recognize where we are, then you have no business commenting on politics. It is absolutely true. And if you think otherwise, I think you're delusional. If it was caught on camera, then nah. I think you're delusional, nuts. If they caught it on camera, I think they would be defending it. Absolutely they would. 100%. They would celebrate it, yeah. They would say he was violently resisting and that if you don't want to get shot in the back of the head, you shouldn't resist arrest. Hakeem Jeffries, The Lincoln Project, Rep. Torres, The Lincoln Project again, Brooklyn Dad, John Favreau. Okay, I guess I've blocked a lot of members of the Trump administration, so I might be missing a few responses here. Overwhelmingly, though, the people drawing attention to this event are going to be Democrats. They need to take as much advantage of it as possible. If they don't defend it, the whole thing falls apart. Yep. Yeah. That's what you have to understand about the state of hysteria that the Republican Party is in, you know? If they ever stop celebrating the violence, they lose. They need to build and build and build. The people who are orchestrating these events, people like Kristi Noem, people like Stephen Miller, they aren't just reacting to every event of the day. They have an end goal in mind. And it's an end goal where you and I are dead. Okay? They know the way you build from A to B is by constantly, aggressively expanding what the definition of acceptable is. This would have gotten condemnation from Republican members of the House and Senate back in 2017. In 2017, many of them would have jumped to the podium in the interest of bipartisanship to express their sympathies and say this was unjustified and won't happen again. Now they won't. And now they're stronger for it. They have been made stronger. This will not affect them. It will not affect their votes, not without real pushback. Every time the Democrats step back an inch, Republicans step forward too. Every time you give them ground, they take ground. They will never, ever, 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 ever apologize. Why would they? They want this. Why would they apologize? The only reason they would apologize would be if it was beneficial for them to do so, and it's not. It would be an ideological and strategic mistake for them to apologize. Why would they do that? Why would Hitler have apologized during any of the millions of little oversteps his agents did while slowly eroding Weimar's democracy and then very quickly eroding it? Why? At what point would it have been beneficial for him to apologize, either in an ideological sense or in a strategic sense? When? Republicans are looking to censor Padilla. Do you have a link to that? Speaker Mike Johnson just called on the Senate to censure Padilla. Yep. There you go. Of course. Why wouldn't they? They want you to die. I don't understand. Like, people, look, of course. Why wouldn't they do it? For what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't. There's no rule following. People are still confused about the whole "they're going to kill you" thing. Yeah, everything else is a lesser step than that. MAGA will justify this by claiming they're traitors. They already have. That already happened. MAGA rhetoric for years now has essentially morally justified infinite violence against their opposition. Like, to them, you are already a traitor. To Republican voters, any violence taken against Democratic representatives is taking the country back. They are already ready for this. Jesus. Can somebody get me a C-SPAN feed? Here, I found it on Forbes Breaking.
Did federal agents go too far the way they treated Senator Padilla today? Was that a bridge too far?
I saw the same video, a very brief video that I think many people did. I think the senator's actions, my view is it was wildly inappropriate. You don't charge a sitting cabinet secretary.
Charge.
And everybody can draw their own conclusions. You can see
he's smiling because he knows because he's fantasizing about putting the reporter in a death camp. I'm not kidding. Do people think when I speak like this that I've been hyperbolic? I understand I engage in hyperbole sometimes. I try to draw a line so people understand what my positions are because I don't want to, like, obscure what I believe. You all know I've been saying this for a long time, right?
it's a heated debate here.
Dude, he's literally grinning.
I'm not going to respond to that. Look, let me just, hold on, wait just a second. I think the American people can draw their own conclusions. They saw a senator acting like wildly inappropriate. I
He's going to say thug.
That,
But what about the way he was treated by the neighbors?
what I saw was agents asking him to quieten down so that the secretary could continue her press conference. He refused to do so. What were they supposed to do? They have to restrain someone who is engaging in that kind of behavior. They moved him out of the room.
To the ground, handcuff him.
A sitting member of Congress should not act like that. It is beneath a member of Congress. It is beneath a U.S. senator. They're supposed to lead by example, and that is not a good example. We have to turn the temperature down in this country and not escalate it. The Democrat Party is on the wrong side. They are defending lawbreakers, and now they are acting like lawbreakers themselves.
They said they were
and I think
oversight.
That's oversight. Charging a cabinet secretary in a press conference, I beg to differ. I think that people do as well. I think those actions speak for themselves.
See, is the only reason there was a delay in his response was because he needed a little bit of time to decide how he was going to spin tackling a senator and handcuffing him to the ground for asking Secretary Noem a question, to this Democratic senator was an aggressor, was a violent thug, and is acting beneath the office. Everyone has access to the video that shows he did nothing wrong. It doesn't matter.
What would you say about lowering the temperature in the country right now? What would you say?
You know, Scott, I have things to say about lowering the temperature all the time. I am very consistent in this. We have been trying to do this since I was handed the gavel in before. I founded the Honor and Civility Caucus in the Congress, for crying out loud, when I got here in 2017. I think that we should act according to our offices. We have a duty and a responsibility to...
I can imagine him saying the exact same shit after Padilla got shot, hypothetically. Oh, for sure. Oh, 100%. If Padilla got shot, absolutely. Yeah, he would say the exact same thing. There'd be no difference. Padilla charged Secretary Noem. Obviously, we have agents that are trained to defend members of the president's cabinet, no matter what. It's disgusting that Padilla would act that way. And honestly, like, nobody should be surprised if you violently charge a member of the cabinet that you would be treated as a threat to them. Yeah, no, easily. He would smile while saying it.
Set a tone, an example in our actions. And I encourage every member of this body to do it in the House and Senate. We have...
This dude is an actual comic book villain? No. Listen. He's just a fascist. This is what they're like. The entire political party that runs the government is like this. They're not... He is good at his job, to be clear, but this ideology is... There are millions of people in this country who are watching this and nodding along to it.
To turn the temperature down. We need to be on the side of the rule of law. We need to be on the side of law and order. We need to be on the side of calm and not chaos. And when members go into these settings and act this way, that when they push law enforcement agents around, when they storm cabinet secretaries in a press conference, I think it is wildly inappropriate behavior, and I think it sets a terrible message and tone for the rest of the country.
Will there be an investigation? Will there be a House investigation?
This is a Senate side issue, but I certainly hope that behavior is not repeated over here. We already...
Constitutional officer for this branch.
I am,
This
yes.
affects all members, whether they be in the House or Senate. You're the Speaker of the House.
Yes.
The constitutional officer of this branch.
Yeah, and what of it? I mean,
the idea that you said this is a Senate issue. This isn't. I mean, these are members of Congress.
I mean, yeah, but the Senate does its disciplinary actions over there, and we do ours over here. We have a certain set of measures, as you all know, and it ranges from censure to removal from committees to ultimately expulsion from the body.
And do you support that for the senator?
It's not my decision to make. I'm not in that chamber, but I do think that it merits immediate attention by their colleagues over there, and that they need. I think that behavior, at a minimum, is it rises to the level of a censure. I think there needs to be a message sent by the body as a whole.
Yep.
That is not what we are going to do. That's not how we're going to act. We're not going to have branches fighting physically and having senators charging cabinet secretaries.
And see, he smiles again. As soon as he does this, he smiles again. He does have a clear tell. Not that it matters. We're not playing poker, right? If we were playing poker, it would matter. But yeah, he's got a very clear tell when he concocts like an evil lie to tell, you know?
Physically and having senators charging cabinet secretaries. We got to do better, and I hope that we will. But I want to say this is a good day for the House chamber. The first rescissions package is now passed through the House. I expect it will pass through the Senate. I expect our one big beautiful bill will continue to be processed as it is, and that we'll get it back and get it done on a tight schedule. I'm still trying to meet our July 4th deadline so we can have a celebration on Independence Day. And having good legislation passed will put everybody in a better mood. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you.
Why can't he say he'll look into what happened and come back with his opinions? Why would he do that? Trump would have been sent to Gitmo if he refused to leave a Biden press conference. The fantasy world these people live in. But what does censoring do? Bonk on the head. Yeah, so it's pretty bad. Ain't good. That's true. That's true.
Had a great conversation, sat down, talked for 10-15 minutes about operations in LA, some activities of the Department of Homeland Security, and so I thought it was very productive, and I wish that he would have reached out and identified himself and let us know who he was and that he wanted to talk. His approach.
He did, of course. Padilla might not give as aggressive a response here because she hasn't had time to communicate with any of her party officials. after ending the press conference. Like Mike Johnson had an hour or so, or an hour and a half to like, no, I'm sorry. Mike Johnson had like an hour and a half to kind of like build up the narrative. You know what I mean? So he could decide what tone he was going to take. But she hasn't had that time when she speaks here.
You know, was something that I don't think was appropriate at all. But the conversation was great, and we're going to continue to communicate. We exchanged phone numbers, and we're going to continue to talk on ways we can communicate better.
Why did you detain him? Why was that the action you decided to take?
I'll let the law enforcement speak to how this situation was handled. But I will say,
if this interaction took place 1 hour after, she probably would have said that he lunged at her and that he's happy, or she's happy that her guards were capable of quickly like detaining and neutralizing the threat, and how disgusting it is that a senator would act that way. Yeah, she feared for her life. Exactly. Like, what did Padilla actually do that warranted the arrest? Nothing. Nothing. They can do whatever they want. Sometimes I wonder how you people would act like incredulous when they started rounding up the Jews, you know? Like, what did they actually do? Well, like, you know, right? You know what they're doing. So basically baseless rumors? No, you're still not getting it. They want you dead, man. They don't need reasons to do this. The end goal is the only thing that matters. The end goal is the advance of their power. Showing that you can tackle a senator and handcuff them for no reason and then lie about it and force them to apologize afterwards and get a Senate censure. That's power. Power is the ability to make people do things they don't want to do. If they wanted to do it anyway, it wouldn't matter. The more the Republicans can make you suffer and get away with it, the more powerful they are. And they can make you suffer. They are very, very powerful.